Obviously, a lot of people are saying society's gone soft these days. It weren't like this back in the day. But as I said this morning on another stream, no one knows how footballers felt back in the day, but it was a different world. People didn't speak about mental health like they do these days. So they may have suffered in silence. And then you've got the likes of Gary Speed, was it? Who took his own life? It was Gary Speed, wasn't it? I think
But sorry, Kate, to interrupt, but you've got to think, right, that nowadays is different. There's a lot more pressure on them. There's a lot more money involved, right? There's a lot more expectations, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, right? But back in the day, they probably did have some of them some problems, but they played for the badge, right? Back in the day, and nowadays, I'm not saying they don't play for the badge, but there's a lot more involved. They're playing for sponsors. They're playing for massive wages. You know, you've seen players flip flop from club to club because they get offered more money. It's a different thing now, you know, and the pressures on them are bigger now, I think, as well, with everything involved. So, I mean, it's all right with someone saying, yeah, but they earn this a week and they earn that a week. They're still human beings. They've still got a brain and a soul and a heart, you know, and things still get to you. Doesn't matter how much money you got.
Yeah, I think, do you know what? I think that I'm guilty of it. I've been really critical of Richarlison. And I remember when Dele Alli's interview come out and I said, God, you know, I feel terrible. We've been questioning this and questioning that. I'm going to try and be kinder to players. And I know I'm just one person now. I don't talk to Richarlison. He don't know anything about me. But these are human beings. We look at them as footballers playing for our club. And, you know, when I see some of the things written on social media, which is something I would never do, when I'm critical of him, but I'm not an arsehole and a keyboard warrior that would go on. And some of the abuse these footballers get is mind-boggling.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's look at Saka. He missed a penalty in the World Cup, right? Yeah, Adams Merson. Saka missed a penalty in the World Cup, and the hate he got. It's just like it's mind-boggling. And I think to myself, the guy missed a penalty. That's all he done. He's not gone out and shot someone. He's missed a penalty, and the hate he got was just mind-boggling to me.
Look at David Beckham when he got sent off. The people hanging up effigies of him and setting fire to them, and horrendous. These are human beings with feelings, with hearts, with emotions, and I think that's what we've forgotten because there's so much money in the game now. They're considered to be assets. Where they are assets to their club, but they're also people. Morning, Cassandra. He says to touch on the issues of speed. One only has to see what Paul Gascoigne is going through. It's always been there, but these days we actually want to know what one is going through. Exactly. I mean, we was only talking about Gaza yesterday, weren't we, Jimbo?
And I said that I'm disgusted with Tottenham Hotspur because Tottenham Hotspur should step in and help Gascoigne. And people that say you can't help him, you can help him, right? He can be helped. I was at a stage in my life with drink and drugs where everybody was saying you can't help me. But I was helped by Kate.
But Jimbo, what you've got to think of is you can't say for sure that you don't know for 100% sure someone from Tottenham hasn't reached out to Gaza.
No, I'm not. I can't say that.
And the thing is, with somebody like you and with someone like Gaza, they've got to own up and say, I need help and be willing to take that help. And I think that I'm sure I read that he's been checked into rehabs and left early. And so if that's the case, there isn't anything you can do. You can't physically force him to stay there.
No, I just don't think you should give up on someone.
Yeah, Gary Mabbott's reached out to Gaza in the past. That's what I mean. You don't know who's reached out. Neil Sharpton says the whole thing with sports today is you play for the badge or name on the front, not your name on the back. This is why you have a lot of selfish players who do not play for the badge. Yeah. Mark says you can be critical because it's football critique, not some of the stuff stupid people want to put out. Yeah. There's a balance of when you can say they had a poor game, but when I see this from Richie, it opens people's eyes to see they're humans before they're football players. Mia's right. Imagine if the social media was like it is now, the abuse Beckham would have got. I mean, it was horrendous anyway, but can you imagine? It takes the right person to help if the person wants to help. Gaza has turned down help many times. That's what I'm saying. You can't judge people and say I'm disgusted they didn't reach out because they may well have reached out. The Business wrote a whole song about Southgate's penalty miss in '96. Another one. Can you imagine if social media was about when Southgate missed the penalty? I mean, it's horrendous. Keyboard warriors with no repercussions to what they write. I mean, Richie said, today I can say, look for a psychologist. If you need a psychologist, look for one, because it's nice for you to open up like that and for you to be talking to the person. Today, a psychologist came to thank me for taking this to the world of football, to the world outside the pitch too, because it is very important. And whether we like it or not, it saves lives. I had this prejudice before. I thought it was nonsense. I thought I was crazy. In my family, there are people who think that anyone who goes to a psychologist thinks they are crazy. They think they're insane. But I discovered this and thought it was wonderful. The best thing, really, and the best discovery I've ever had in my life. And that's another thing, the stigma of going to a psychologist. People used to think if you went to psychologists, psychiatrists, then it means you've got a screw loose, basically. Nowadays, many people have got a psychologist just to have someone to air their problems to.
Yeah.
And I personally, spoken to counsellors myself, I think sometimes, as much as Jimbo, like you say, you helped me massively on a day-to-day level, I think sometimes you need to have someone not involved with you to be able to say how you feel on a different level. So for me, the fact he's come out and made statements like that, he's got to be applauded hugely, because he's bringing it to, like he says, to a huge stage, not just the football world, but
I mean, you could see in his face, anyone who's seen it, I think would agree with me. You can see it in his face. He was absolutely devastated, and you could see that he was in pain. And it was a hard watch for me, very hard watch, and I couldn't watch it again.
I mean, yeah, the tears were streaming down his face. It's horrendous, absolutely horrendous to see it.